If you've been checking out homes and neighborhoods, areas in the South Charlotte area, the Waxhaw community absolutely has popped up on your radar. And one of those hot topics that's now permeating throughout the Waxhaw area is growth. And it's not gonna stop because over the next 5 to 10 years, changes are happening. And in this video, I'm gonna highlight the pros, cons of what actually is taking place and how it will affect you if you're planning to move here. So stick around, you wanna hear this before you start packing up that moving truck. Let's jump in. So I'm actually here in downtown Waxhaw right now, and as you'll be able to see, there is definitely activity going on, and growth has been a hot button for years now, keeping up with that growth, the popularity of the area. And it's gotten to a point where leaders of Waxhaw have had to come up with a solution, and balancing both the character of the downtown area as well as how do you keep up with the growth and infrastructure. So that's what we're going to talk about, how and what has taken place since the new downtown master plan has been implemented. I should say passed, not necessarily implemented. It's going to take time for that to happen, but it is definitely something that everybody needs to be aware of, what's taking place and how is it going to be laid out over the coming years. So let's first look at the actual numbers as we look at the growth in Waxhaw. And really since 2010, Waxhaw was really a quiet little spot with fewer than 10,000 residents. By 2020, it had blown past 20,000 residents. That is 100% growth in population in just a single decade, making it one of the fastest growing towns in all of North Carolina. Then if you look in 2026, we're already at 23,000 and growing exponentially in the Waxhaw area. So when you look at the master plan pipeline that's been passed in the Waxhaw area, which was passed in 2025, that shows that there's gonna be thousands of housing units approved or transitioning through the build process. Starting now, and it's in process, subdivisions like Preserve at Forest Creek and South Point are actively moving forward, pushing hundreds of new single-family homes and townhomes into the local landscape. So when people say Waxhaw is growing fast, well, they're 100% correct, and it's not going to slow down. But before we jump ahead of ourselves as that being a bad thing, remember there was a plan put in place, and we want to know both sides of that to see how does that actually affect residents here, now, and moving forward. Oh, and a quick timeout. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, learning about living in South Charlotte, make sure to like and subscribe as we release videos every week about the South Charlotte area, topics like growth in areas like Waxhaw, South Charlotte. I'm Steve Jarrell with the Longleaf Group here at eXp Realty. I live in Weddington, right next door. Love the area, love bringing information to you. If you're thinking about making the move, reach out. We have our easy link. You can connect with us on a Zoom, 15-minute call. Would love to be a resource. So let's make it happen. With all that said, let's jump right back in. So what was the response from the town of Waxhaw to protect the charm and keep up with the growth? Well, they laid out not a generic vision statement, but a master plan for the downtown overall growth, which is what we're going to talk about. But remember, this is all about how do we preserve what has made Waxhaw so charming and also allow the growth to take place with these initiatives. So let's talk about the plan. So in putting together the plan, they were definitely looking out for the long-term value for people moving here. And that's why the good news for property value and lifestyle, the historic core is completely protected. Downtown Waxhaw is on the National Register of Historic Places, and the plan uses a strict historic preservation commission and designs reviews to ensure antique shops, the brick facades, and the local vibes stay intact. So the fact that the town funded a brand new Masonic Lodge facade grant to beautify and restore one of the Main Street's antique anchor historic buildings, I would say that's a pretty good sign that the area, the charmingness of the brick and the downtown area. Behind me, they better not take down that water tower, which they're not, but that is being all left intact and is a part of the beauty and the charm of downtown and greater Waxhaw. One of the misconceptions a lot of residents or visitors can have of the plan to have an updated master plan for downtown is that there's going to be sprawl with development, and it's definitely, I'm curious, opinions below. Share if you think that there's going to be a ramifications outside of what we discuss in here. Love to hear them. But plan calls for, instead of sprawling outwards for this plan, it is for infill, which means building on vacant or underutilized lots within the existing downtown footprint. So it should be a beautification type of process as opposed to a let's tear down the historic buildings and build new things on top of it. We're filling in or using those underutilized spaces. One of the more controversial of the updates coming to downtown is a 300 space parking garage that has a unique design that's coming, but they're actually going to be updating the guidelines, which explicitly mandate that the exterior must be wrapped in ground floor, retail space, restaurant spaces. So from the sidewalk, it's actually gonna look like an extension of the brick facades of downtown, as well as having additional places to park, which has always been an issue for not just Waxhaw, but any downtown, especially when you have the different events, the 4th of July, all the things that this main street gets packed with activity, and that parking garage is obviously gonna alleviate quite a bit of that and not be an eyesore. Share your thoughts below. Very interested to hear what your thoughts are on that. As if the drafting and signing of the master plan isn't enough, Waxhaw is backing up their plans with real money. They've just even approved a $26.47 million operating budget and $5.97 million capital improvement plan. So right now, if you drive down the downtown drag, you're gonna see work in progress. The first step is the infrastructure. They are actually in the middle of a massive underground water main and sewer overhaul. You gotta be able to support the sewage and all the water, or you're gonna be left a mess. And they are starting at the ground level and making those improvements. And you're gonna see some cones out while they're updating that infrastructure that dates back decades. And it actually can handle, once it's updated, it can handle the restaurants, the additional activity going on. So that's the first step, is getting the groundwork laid so we can start building and infilling with those major updates coming from the master plan. And the final piece we'll talk about in the master plan is the road widening, and a big piece of the road infrastructure that is being adjusted is for walking, for pedestrians, and a piece of that is the widening of the east-north Main Street. It's transitioning actually to a one-way zone to make room for the massive pedestrian plaza, and it's all about the people, making it community friendly. They're adding retractable bollards on North Providence so they can then be able to shut down blocks safely and instantly for weekend festivities. And if you haven't looked at the town of Waxhaw's calendar, activities are what it's all about, whether it's 4th of July, Memorial Day, a lot of things going on, and this is just gonna add to that. And I will say, from a political standpoint, the commissioners highly scrutinized the high density zoning and rezoning, forcing developers to sign strict transportation mitigation agreements. For example, at the new Blade Mill townhome development, the town is legally withholding certificate of occupation until the builder, meaning the builder can't sell those until road improvements have happened, and we're not gonna be creating a complete traffic jam, but it's definitely gonna increase traffic overall, but the road improvements need to be there before they're gonna pass out the CEs out there. Now let's talk about the real friction points that come along with this plan, and really it has nothing even to do with the plan itself, as well as much as it has to do with just in general in Waxhaw, and that is traffic and schools. And the problem isn't so much the community or the schools themselves as much as the amount of growth. And when you look at the traffic, it's bad enough where it is now. Now we're adding more people here. The infrastructure has to catch up, and Waxhaw is implementing a measure to help with that, and that's the widening of Broome Road, or 16, which is essentially Providence Road. So yes, if you're driving to Uptown every single day, you have to take into account that it's gonna be, with rush hour, could be 45 minutes, could be 50, it could be close to an hour, depending on the craziness or where you are in the Waxhaw area. But Traffic is something that is going to be needing to be taken into consideration, what your daily lifestyle is or life is like with driving. The other is the schools, and we're already beyond capacity with schools like Cuthbertson High School, which the majority of people that are moving to Waxhaw try to get into Cuthbertson. Although Parkwood's still a great school, Cuthbertson gets all the accolades and the growth of the area without an additional school or extending the school, making it bigger, is going to be a consideration for how do we manage the students, the growth, the facilities for a growing community and a school that isn't getting any bigger. So what is the solution? It's being real and being proactive. Valentine had this conversation 20 years ago and put a plan together, and they're still implementing, but that's what Waxhaw's doing right now. They're putting a plan together, and time's gonna tell how that plan needs to adjust. More schools, how are we going to account for this? But you have to put a plan in place, and it has to have real numbers, real capital behind it, and Waxhaw is doing that. The question is, and I want your answers, your thoughts below, is this the right move right now? And are they putting enough emphasis into making the growth sustainable and able to keep the people coming and keep the people that are here happy while it's all happening, kind of like putting an airplane together while it's in the air. So what does this mean for you as an educated buyer considering the Waxhaw area? Well, it means that there are future plans, considerable growth, and potential, strong potential appreciation for because of the improvements that are coming here and continuing to make Waxhaw a destination for the charm and downtown. But from a property lifestyle and number of properties available, we're at over 25% of the number of homes that are available now versus there were this time last year. So there is a real buying opportunity, especially if you're looking to be here for the foreseeable future to see that growth. If you're looking to just sell in the next couple years, it's a gamble and you're gonna see churn from a number of homes coming on the market. But if this is the type of place that you can see yourself being, I absolutely advise what I call dating the area. Come check it out during rush hour, see how it feels during those times when there is traffic, and you can see the schools themselves, what their rankings are. We've got a dump truck over there, but it's going to allow buyers an opportunity to get in here and not have the 2021, the craziness that we saw with buyers coming in and absolutely throwing their hands in the air to just do what they can to get a property. Now can be a great time for buying in the Waxhaw community. And thank you so much for joining us. Leave your comments below if you have any. Make sure to reach out if you have any questions about the Waxhaw area. Love to help you. Contact me below. All of us with the Longleaf Group. Until next time, we'll see you then.